cigars and a brew, discussing movies while kicking back. Whether they are good or they're bad, with the hottest movies and non-released, I am talking about details and what I see. So tune into the podcast while I vent with reviews, news, and nonsense, yeah.
And now, recorded live from the capital of the first state of these great United States, Keith.
So, this movie that I'm going to talk about you on this fine day is Morgan. This movie is coming out this Friday, September 2nd. It's essentially another artificial life concept movie. We've had a few of them. The latest one is different in that instead of it just being a robot artificial life, we've started messing around with DNA. This is directed by Luke Scott, and it stars Kate Mara, Anna Taylor, Rose Leslie, and Paul Giamatti, among others, of course. But it's to me, I'm a little exhausted with the artificial intelligence movies. I don't particularly like them that much. There's been tons of them done. It's always the same. We try to create life, and then it turns out horribly wrong. We can go all the way back to Frankenstein when we tried to do that. It never seems to work out, and they all have the same sort of basic idea. Don't try to play God. And all right, so this is, so I've kind of set this up. This is definitely one of those types of movies, but it's kind of takes it from a different vein. To me, there's definitely a little bit of the feel of Ex Machina in it. This time, it's not the mechanical means of an artificial attempt, life, but this is the DNA form where they've taken half of the DNA strand and kind of supercoded it for a superhuman, essentially. At the start of the movie, we see this overhead shot view of a lab, and it looks like that somebody's counseling someone, and all of a sudden this hooded figure, you can't tell at this particular moment whether it's much about it besides that because it's a grainy overhead shot surveillance camera, but this figure attacks this person. You don't quite know exactly what's going on yet, but since you've probably know what the story is basically about, this was the artificial life form that kind of went haywire there for a minute, and that was the start of the movie. We go through a montage phase. There is definitely some backstory fill-in. This is a research lab that's away from everybody, and the people that have been involved with it have not been a part of the real world really for 7 years. They've been very isolated, and they have basically created this sort of test tube baby, in a sense, funded by a corporation. But because of this incident, the company sends in this very serious individual that's supposed to decide what to do with the whole thing, and that's Kate Mara, who comes in dressed very corporate like and very professional, and etc. And she's on the scene to assess the situation. Coming in with her is Paul Giamatti, who plays a counselor to assess the mental state of this child. Thing is how she refers to it as, Morgan. And so basically, you get Paul Giamatti on the scene, and he really kind of steals the movie for the amount of time that he's in it. In the sense of he just brings his normal character, very easy to believe him in the role as a person. He's very confident, a little bit haughty, perhaps, and a little bit foolish too, as it turns out. But essentially, that's a key point in the movie, and from there we kind of go into more horror aspects about it, and there are some twists on it. Everybody seems to have this sort. All of the counselors really seem to love this Morgan, and even though she attacked one counselor and her, stabbed her in the eye and stuff, everybody really kind of rallies around that this was just a mistake. She's only really 5 years old, even though she looks like she's about 14. And that's played by Anna Taylor-Joy, who I think this is her about her second big film. The other one that she was in, she might have done some other stuff, but she the other one she did was The Witch, and she was very good in that. She's got a very striking element to her beauty. And with they changed her eye color, and her eyes looked a little bit strange. They were a little haunting with the way that they were portrayed. I don't know if that was CGI or practical effects or whatever it was, but she played the role excellently, as well as did Kate Mara and the rest of the supporting cast, and Paul Giamatti was fantastic. So it's a movie that kind of surprises me in the fact that I enjoyed it more than I thought I would, because I don't generally like this subgenre of we create AI and AI kills us. It's just been done so much, and it's hard to make it original. This one definitely has some twists in it. I wouldn't go back and say it was quite as good as Don't Breathe, which I saw last week, a day before I saw it, and but it is very good. I actually like it. I think I like it better than I did Ex Machina, because I just didn't. That one didn't hit it for me. But this is definitely a tie-in of sci-fi and horror, and I was interested in it throughout. Actually, one person I didn't mention that was in there is Rose Leslie, and she plays a counselor in this as well. And those of you who know who she is, she's Jon Snow's love interest, as it were, from Beyond the Wall. And she had a very strange role in this too, because she was one of the counselors that seemed to almost have a romantic interest in this Morgan, and that kind of plays out in a certain way in here. But all in all, it was definitely worth seeing. It's not, this is getting to be a good time of year, and that's I'll give it an A-. So this is one to go check out. It was enjoyable, worth seeing. Talk to you soon.
You have been listening to the Movies, Cigars, and a Brew podcast. You can subscribe to this podcast on iTunes, Spreaker, and Stitcher. Find reviews of other movies, cigars, and beers at moviescigarsandabrew.com. Give a like on Facebook or follow Keith on Twitter at Movie Cigar Beer. Your trailer is coming up next.
We knew right away that Morgan was very special. Within a month, walking and talking. Within 6, self-sustaining. She exceeded our wildest expectations.
She's like a child.
Morgan is a child.
She had a tantrum.
Morgan's behavior was very unfortunate.
She's learning, and she has the right to make mistakes.
She is an it, and it has no ransom.
Oh, you're wrong about that. You'll see.
Morgan, please don't.
Despite the current setbacks,
You have to stop.
the results of our investment are quite remarkable.
Stop! You have to stop.
Hello, Morgan.
Nice to meet you.
In the flesh.
You'll see now how happy we can be.